there are so many candidates who take up ACCA. They have the right temperament, they have the right personality, they have the right intelligence, they have the right plan as to why they're studying it and what are they going to do with such a qualification. And yet they'll end up having difficult times, make silly mistakes, and land up actually not clearing these exams. And it's because of a bunch of reasons that are very easily overcomable. So in this video, we're going to talk about 5 mistakes that ACCA students make and how to get over them. So if this is the first time I'm visiting our channel, then please click subscribe, and if you find any value, then give us a thumbs up. All right, let's jump into it. Point number 1, I say this everywhere: mocks. You need to give a real mock exam of the same duration, which is 3 hours 15 minutes for most of these exams, in an exam environment. You need to lock the door, throw the key out, and ensure that for those 3 hours 15 minutes, nobody, what earthquake comes, what emergency happens, nobody disturbs you, and you give the exam like it is the real exam. You take a past paper, right? Or a lot of books have ready mock exam. You give a real mock exam, solve it completely, write the full answer, calculate the entire question as you would in the exam, plan the time management bit. So the time constraint or the time management is absolutely crucial, and do that. And this is mock number 1. You read it, take the feedback for yourself, or if you have a mentor, have him or her share it with you. Give mock number 2. Go through the same experience, however tedious or boring it might seem to you. Trust me on this. Give it a third time, right? When you reach the third time, that's first time you don't, do well. Second time you're okay. Third time you become better. And the fourth time that you give it is the real exam. And this time you're going to be it's going to feel of second nature to you. It doesn't matter how many exams you've given, by the way. I used to do this till my last level of ACCA exams. And the only exams I've had difficulty in are the ones I landed up not paying enough attention to these mock exams. Mistake number 2, ignoring examiners' comments and marking schemes. So for all of y'all who do not know, the ACCA body officially for every attempt, they release the answers with at least the subjective answers with the examiner's comments. This is the people who land up actually setting and checking the paper, and they'll end up telling us with feedback, right? So you have a mock, let's say you have last year's paper. You see the question, you see the answer that is the ideal answer by the examiner, along with the comments of why is he giving marks, what was he expecting, how much has he given per mark, per point. So for example, in ACCA, unlike Indian exams, you get marks per point as long as the point is accurate. Now, whether it's 10 pages or 1 word, nobody cares. It just needs to be correct. So you need to know how they give you marks. For example, in ACCA, from a lot of steps in a big sum, okay, you might make a mistake. Let's say out of 10 steps, you might make a mistake in step number 5. Ideally, that means you should only get marked for the first 4 and everything else is wrong after that. But ACCA allows that even if you make a mistake in 5, if after that what you do is making sense, it's logical, it's as per the curriculum, they might still give you some marks they might cut the mark for the 5th one, but they might give you marks 6 and 7. It doesn't mean that only the final answer consolidates or it tallies with the ideal answer, only then you get full marks. It's not necessary. Your answer can be a little haywire, you can still score majority. All of this comes from examiners' comments and then marking schemes. Please pay attention to this. If you use BBP or Kaplan, it's all there. Otherwise, like I said, the official ACCA Global website has all of these. Please go through it. It will change the trajectory of you passing these exams. Mistake number 3, focusing too much on theory and ignoring all the application-based questions, or focusing too much on just solving sums and forgetting a lot of the theory. Because in ACCA, there is no concept of selective studies. So that means that every exam, you need to be thorough with the entire curriculum. ACCA does not have a breakdown. Again, this is more of an Indian mentality, I like practical sums because they are solving. I don't like theory because it's a lot of words. In ACCA, first of all, everything is logical, right? It's just the way you express the logic can be in the form of words or it's in the form of calculation. So your job, my job as an ACCA student, ACCA candidate, is to understand the logic. Once I know the logic, right, whether I have to answer it in a lot of words or I have to solve it should not be that difficult for me. But if you're one of those guys who's either very good at theory, so you really learn the theory well, right, and the application bit, you keep on delaying it during your practice rounds, during the mock exam, and by default in the exam, you're very underprepared for it and you give it your best shot. Or vice versa, right? You focus on solving, and theory you just read. And in your mind, when you're solving tests or mock exams, in your mind, you think about the answer and you're like, yeah, I know this, and you move forward. And a lot of lazy students who do that. Please do not do that. Study both sides of it. Don't think of it as theory or practical. Think of it as concepts and logic and how to use this, whether in the form of words or numerics. Once again, your confidence, your ability to answer anything in ACCA, and your ability to show yourself and the actual world that you are not a student who just cares about studying theory or studying sums. You're somebody who can take any practical concept, and in the real world, when you actually get a client who will come to you with certain conceptual problems, you might have to use numbers, you might have to use words, you might have to do anything to solve that person's problem. And that will happen through your understanding of the concept, the problem, the solution. So same way as you study, focus on the core concepts, and then whether it's theory or numbers, you need to be able to address both of them. Mistake number 4, not preparing for the computer-based exam style and working on spreadsheets and word processing applications. Now, 10 years ago, I think in 2016 or 2016, they started taking ACCA more and more on the exam format, went from pen and paper to computer based. In the beginning, a lot of people would struggle because they would, we are so used to practicing on pen paper, and then we believe that it's just a matter of, instead of writing it on paper, in the real exam, you write it on the laptop or the computer. It doesn't work like that. If your habit and your practice is on paper, you are going to make big mistakes, not small, big mistakes, because solving a sum on Excel and solving it on pen paper are totally different, right? Writing the answer and typing it also have enough of a difference that if you're not used to the computer-based exam, you will fumble. You might know the answer, but you will not be able to put it right. You might know the answer, but you become nervous because it's not coming out as smoothly as you thought. You think, I'll practice for 3 months or 2.5 months, and then only my mocks I'll give in the computer-based style. Once again, you will have a difficult time. So even if you're very used to working on a laptop, on a PC, you think you're very good at it, please ensure that in your practice as well, you particularly focus on answering everything through the computer-based exam format. And mistake number 5, missing the plan of revising and leaving everything last minute in a chaotic manner. Guys, this is not your school or college or board exams. These are professional qualifications that are globally recognized. The level of effort that the body puts in having these questions to be as practical as possible in the real world, it's very, very high. So, if you treat it like school, unfortunately, again, I know, so many people who always feel that, okay, I'm understanding the concept at the beginning of the lectures, so I'll become a little relaxed. I think I know this subject, and then last minute, and also sometimes when you solve some questions, you always get it right during the beginning time of the preparation. You become relaxed and you tell yourself that I'll leave it for the end. What you're going to leave for the end, you don't know. You don't prepare across the quarter when you're studying. That what is it that you found difficult while you came across? What is it that, whether you study with a professor or a mentor, whether you talk to other people, you read examiners' comments, etc., certain topics are important. ACCA has a habit of trying to test out on the new age points in the world. So you come across something, do you mark it? Do you tell yourself, I have to revise this? So I'll give you an example of myself, right? I remember, for example, if I take the taxation paper, right? What I would do is now that taxation has a lot of dates, compliance dates. So, and it's spread across the entire curriculum. So I would, as I'm going, I'm making notes of it, knowing that this is not something I want to invest my energy in right now, but I'll put it on one sheet, and towards the end, I'm going to study, because I was sure when all the tests and all the mocks, I saw at least 3-4 marks coming from dates. I knew it was an easy way to score. All I need to do is be a little smart about it. So I didn't study for the dates ka details in the first couple of months, but I did ensure that it's all in one place. And I had to ensure that the last couple of days, it's basically something that is handy for me. Similarly, when it comes to financial reporting or strategic business reporting papers, the disclosures of every standard, if you are studying this, you will know. If you are not studying it, basically these papers have multiple standards that we need to know. And each standard has a few headings. One of the headings was disclosures, which generally have a few bullet points per standard. So one paper might have 20 standards, 20 disclosures Each of them will have 1, 2, 3 points. You should remember that because they can ask you. Again, I would always make it a point. I would study it a little more regularly because it was easy to score for me, but it would take time to really memorize it. So I knew that during my revision time, right, my practice of consolidation as sums or my taxation sums was so frequent that it's going to any which ways be covered. But the disclosures, right, are something which I would pay attention to when I did that chapter first time, and then I knew I had to come back to it during revision. So if you are aware about your strengths, your weaknesses, if you are studying it thoroughly enough and consistently enough across the quarter, you will know what all you need to come back to. If you don't take all these efforts, there's one other quick pro tip for many of you guys here. The official body, ACCA Global, per subject gives something called technical articles. These are my big lifesavers. So technical articles are basically articles of many concepts, right? So a detailed big concept can be broken down into 2 or 3 pages in this article with a practical sum explaining the same concept in a different way. So for me, revision used to be that, okay, fine, I found group losses in advanced taxation as a complicated subject. I saw that there's a technical article on it. So I knew that I'm going to read this article, I'm going to use this again during my revision. So remember that either by yourself or consult somebody who understands ACCA and be thorough with how you're going to revise. Once again, it'll give you confidence, not only for the last minute bit, but last minute you're a little more sure of what you want to do. And when you go in the exam, you know where you're spending time, you're clear. By the time you enter the exam, you want to open the pages, you want to read the questions, and at least at the first glance, know that, okay, this paper is in my control. I have majority of the answers in first glance. That confidence boosts you up massively across the exam, and you will be able to ensure that you give it confidently. When you give it confidently, there is a lot of your mind is at ease to remember a lot of things. You have confidence of actually completing the paper, and all of that culminates into, if not passing the exam, then even better, ranking the exam. So guys, I hope that you found some value. As always, if there's any other question you have, please leave it in the comments.